Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled A-N-D, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Hi, everyone. Our first coincidence miracle today happened in our own town at St. Mary's Church in our town. And it happened, the person has stressed the date for us, it happened on February 2nd in the year 2022. So if somebody wrote that out with slashes, it would be 2/2/22, all twos. And they know how much I'm into numbers, so they stressed for me that I might appreciate knowing this happened on February 2nd in the year 2022, so it lines up with 4 number 2s when you write it with slashes. And they write the story to us that they were invited by a friend to attend the noon Mass at St. Mary's Church on a Wednesday, which was that date, February 2nd, 2022, and then go to lunch after Mass. So it was a 12 o'clock Mass or a 12:10. Yeah, that's right. It was 10 minutes after 12 is when the Mass started. So they met for lunch. But what happened, the person is relating to us, is that just before they went into the driveway, and they had parked across the street from the church that day because there was some construction in the manholes entering the church, so they couldn't park in the church lot, so they parked across the street. And just before they pulled into the parking lot, a car came toward them with a license plate number 777 right there in front of the church. So they went into Mass, and after Mass, they came out the main door again to get to their car across the street. And as they were crossing at the crosswalk, a car stopped, had to stop for the crosswalk to let them cross, and the car that stopped had a license plate number 444, which was really amazing and I guess spine-chilling to this person, because they know the number 444 stands for the holy name of the Blessed Virgin Mary. So there they were they went to St. Mary's Church. They saw 3 sevens on the way in at the parking lot, and they see 3 fours in a car that is coming by the main entrance and has to stop at the crosswalk. Perfect timing. I mean, you couldn't be any more perfectly timed. If you wanted to send somebody a clue, that you would send a license plate with 3 fours right there at the crosswalk as they're crossing the street. That was perfect timing, and certainly would have to be done by somebody like a god. So this person is certainly relating this as a gift from God. And we call some coincidence miracles reward miracles, and I think this one might be a coincidence reward miracle because the person got 3 7s on the way in and 3 4s on the way out, and they went to the church titled St. Mary's Church. So this is really a pretty significant story. I think if you look for numbers when you're looking for miracles, this was pretty great, especially since it happened on February 2nd in the year 2022. So, you write that with dashes, it would be 2-2-22. Our next coincidence miracle is one that happened to me personally. If you've been listening for a while, you may remember a story about 2 years ago where I attended a Polish potluck dinner at our church. They were raising some funds for a charitable organization, so we had a potluck supper there. And I met a couple, a wonderful couple, and it turned out that the man, and the husband and wife were there, but the man had suffered a heart attack, and he was sharing, after I told him about the 2 books I wrote about miracles and about our radio show, I asked the couple if they had any miracles they could share with us. And so 2 years ago, he was sharing with me at the potluck supper how he was in the hospital visiting someone, and he was going up in the elevator, and he had a heart attack in the elevator, and there was a nurse on the elevator with him who specialized in cardio problems and knew all about heart problems. And so he was miraculously saved that night while he was going to visit somebody in a hospital and had a heart attack right there in the elevator with a nurse who could take care of him immediately. And now here it was about 2 years later, and we accidentally bumped into each other at Stop and Shop in town here. And we instantly remembered each other. It's kind of unusual, that you meet somebody at a potluck supper and then 2 years later see them again and recognize them. You don't get to spend a lot of time with people and remember their faces and features, etc. But we did recognize each other. I guess the Holy Spirit, I know personally, I was looking at him and I was feeling something inside of me saying, look, notice, and I felt like, I was supposed to stop and talk to him, and I was trying to figure out where I knew him from, and he was looking at me the same way, and suddenly we got it. We both got inspired to realize it was from that Polish potluck supper. So we renewed our friendship, and we related the old story again, and I told him how I was impressed about it, and I'd put his story on the radio, and he tells me that recently he was shoveling snow in his driveway, and he had another heart attack, and he was laying in the driveway, apparently dead from what he tells me. I don't know if the ambulance or the nurses or the doctor, whatever, decided that he had died, but they did something for him when the ambulance came, tried to resuscitate him, etc., and they were stunned that he came back to life. And so he relates to me that this happened to him twice now, that he's been miraculously saved by God twice and had, nurses available right on the spot to help him in both cases. What I was really taken with was the fact that he really is a person who is positive there's a God, and he has an ebullient joy. You meet people who are just joyful. You look at them and they're joyful people. They have an expression on their faces. They have a gleam in their eye. And that's what I recognized about him when I first saw him at this Stop and Shop second encounter. Something was compelling me to look at him. He is just looked like a very joyful, at peace, pleasant person. And he related all this to me. And what I was taken with was the fact that this is why. And he convinced me. He's absolutely positive there's a God, and absolutely positive God wanted him to live longer. And he got 2 warnings in his life that he's still on the planet Earth, he's still alive for some reasons. He has a lot of grandchildren, I think, from our discussions, and I guess his purpose is to be a great-grandfather at this point in his life. But certainly a wonderful story, somebody who has been saved, and they attribute it totally to God as miracles, saved twice in their life now. Our next coincidence miracle is about another person who wanted to sleep late on a Sunday. A lot of us, work hard during the week, and we get to Sunday, we'd like to sleep late. Well, this person relates the story how they normally go to the 8 o'clock Mass on Sunday, so they're normally up at 6 a.m. They had a busy Saturday, I guess. They wanted to sleep late, so they felt comfortable about it because they were just going to get up later and go to the 10:30 Mass instead of the 8 o'clock Mass. But what happened to them was they woke up their normal time. They woke up at 6 a.m., which would get them ready for the 8 a.m. Mass as normally. And so they were surprised by that, and they felt refreshed. They didn't feel tired. So they were perplexed about, why that happened, that they were awakened for some strange reason. So they prayed about it, got inspired to just simply flip a coin. And if, heads or tails would tell them whether they're going to go to the 8 o'clock Mass or go back to sleep and go to the 10:30 Mass. So they're going to use the coin flip to tell them. And that's done by a lot of people. You flip a coin when you are not clear on what God wants you to do, and it's not earth-shaking. It's not a question of life or death. It's just a simple thing, should I go to the 8 o'clock Mass or go to the 10:30 Mass? I mean, it's not. It doesn't seem like life or death. Should you go 6 a.m. or go 8 a.m. Mass or 10:30 Mass? So a lot of people do that. As a matter of fact, you'll notice in the Bible, in the book of Acts, in Acts chapter 1, there's a place there where the apostles drew lots. They drew straws to make a decision because it was a simple yes or no question. And rather than deliberate for 6 hours talking about something, we trust God and we draw lots. And Bible stories are often based on this kind of a faith. Even the Jewish priests had something like dice that they would use to get some simple yes or no answers. So this person decided to flip a coin to see if they're going to go to 10:30 Mass or not, or go back to sleep or whatever. So they flipped a coin, and they relate to us how they were startled about what happened. They flipped a coin in the kitchen on a tile floor. When the coin hit the ground, it hit landing like a wheel that could spin. It didn't land flat. It hits the floor looking like a wheel, and it takes off from the kitchen going down the hall, and it suddenly falls down on its side, and apparently the momentum of its speed, while it was on its side, it slid underneath a carpet. So the person's relating to us how they were startled and stunned about this crazy coin. They flipped it took off on its own and went down the hallway, and when it got next to a throw-down carpet, it went sideways and slid under the carpet as if it was trying to hide. And so they relate to us that they took this to be a very special sign that they indeed needed to pay attention. So they lifted up the carpet, and sure enough, it was heads. And so they went to their normal 8 o'clock Mass, and they're very happy they did so. They had a miracle in the process because they met someone at the 8 o'clock Mass that they had not seen in a long, long time. They were casual friends, but they renewed their friendship on this particular morning because he went to that Mass, and so the person sees God being involved in this mysterious coin. Well, I think we've had some fascinating stories today. The first one was about St. Mary's Church in our own town, and the person sees 3 7s on the way in and sees 3 4s on the way out, and 3 4 signifies the holy name of the Blessed Virgin Mary. We had the Potluck story, the Polish Potluck story about a man who suffered heart attacks twice and still survived, and now this mysterious coin, which reminds us that the apostles drew lots in the book of Acts chapter 1 when they were making simple yes or no decisions. God bless you all. I'll talk to you next week.